What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Frankie Bones, and in today's video, going to be talking some New York Yankees baseball. Going to be recapping the last two series against both the Rays and the Athletics. Talking a little bit about what happened during each games. Similar format to, as always, some key takeaways. Then looking forward to the next few series ahead and talking about the importance of some of those games. As always, if you guys are enjoying these videos, please feel free to drop a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to not miss out on any of the future Yankees content. And without further ado, we'll get right into this. So quickly to end off the Guardians series, we ended up winning that game as well to take the series against them. Don't have any notes on it, but just wanted to note that as well because I think we hopped in during the second game, or after the second game of the set, rather. We'll hop on over to the Rays series. The Yankees end up losing this one. They end up taking one game. Definitely in a position to take two, but we will talk a little bit about that as we get into it. The first game, we'll talk about briefly. The Yankees end up losing this game 5-4. The second game the next day, we end up winning the game 3-2. And then the final game in the rubber match, we end up losing 8-7. In the 10th inning, the Rays get a walk-off victory there. So, break down the games a little bit individually. In the first game, Johnny Brito struggled a little bit, gave up two solo shots in that game. Harrison Bader, definitely feeling his influence back in the lineup, hits a 3-run homer to tie up the game, and Cordero ends up with the loss in that one, despite the Yankee bullpen being really pretty solid throughout the entire season. And we'll talk about some stats on that as well after we wrap up the recaps. In the second game, Domingo Germán ends up pitching pretty well. He's been pretty consistent for us. I think he ends up going 5, gave up 2. The only 2 in the game. Harrison Bader with a 2 RBI double to take the lead. Drew Rasmussen ended up pitching well, but the Yankees bullpen continues to be really strong for this team and is able to close out and follow up Domingo Germán to help us get the W. Now, the third game is really interesting. This is the first bad start from Gerrit Cole. I personally didn't have a chance to watch this. I was out on my coaching duties, but Gerrit Cole ends up giving 6 earned runs. The Yankees were up 6-0. They end up blowing this lead. But the bullpen was really good after him. I think Gerrit only threw 5, so through the last 5 frames, the bullpen looked really solid. Obviously, in extra innings, you never know what's going to happen in that situation. I think it was Bobby Abreu who had the 10th for us, who I had mixed feelings on, but the power's back in the Bronx. The Yankees end up hitting not in the Bronx, but the Bronx Bombers are back, rather. The Yankees sort of get their power back in this series. Getting Bader back was huge, and I think it just sort of shifts the lineup a little bit. Guys are seeing the ball well right now. But we end up dropping this game 8-7, so that was definitely a game that I thought that, we should have won 6-0 lead with Gerrit Cole, and then obviously in the first game, so losing by 1 is always a little bit difficult. So after that, those games at the Trop, we host the A's at home. So the Yankees end up sweeping this one. Obviously shouldn't be too much of a surprise. The A's are probably the worst team in baseball right now, but definitely some good things to be able to take away from this series and give us some momentum to springboard us forward throughout the rest of the season. So, generally to go over the games, Yankees win 7-2 in the first game. They win 10-5 in the middle game, and they win 11-3 yesterday afternoon to close out the sweep. So, in the first game, we have Nestor going up against J.P. Sears. Obviously, one of the key pieces going back to the Athletics. There's a little ESPN alert for fantasy baseball. We'll turn that off for you guys. But in that first game, he was a key piece going back in the Montas trade. So the Yankees able to get to him. The Yankees hit always pretty well against lefties. Nestor ends up pitching pretty well. I think he threw just over 5 1/3, 5 2/3. Yankees get it done here with the long ball. Cabrera had a 2-run shot. Glaber had a homer. DJ with a 2-run homer. Hicks with a 2-run homer, which I think is really important. I know there's been a lot of boos for Hicks, but he needs to continue to contribute. as we continue to get healthy. Obviously, Judge coming back from the injury in Game 2, which we'll talk about, but it's important for him to still be a contributor as Waldo's coming around as well. Love to see that 2-run shot from him, but we really need the long ball in this offense, and over the last 2 series, we were really able to accomplish that. In the second game, absolute gem from Clark Schmidt. He threw 6, had like 8 Ks, only 2 earned. He pitched really, really well, which is really great for this team because the pitching, I think, is starting to become a little more consistent like I was talking about in the Rays series. I think that's really important, especially knowing how good the bullpen we have is. Really just have to try and give up less than 3, and our offense is going to start rolling again soon, I'm convinced, once we get healthy. So really great signs from Clark Schmidt. Always has that strikeout stuff, but was able to locate really well in this game and gave the Yankees a really good chance to win this game. Clay Holmes is back. He ended up having 3 Ks to end the game, I believe. So love seeing him round back into form, which is really important. Aaron Judge returns to the lineup and continues to contribute over this game and last game. But an interesting note for this game, overall, the Yankees were able to get it done without the long ball, which obviously is going to be really big because you can't just always consistently rely on home runs, but obviously that will always be a big part of our offense. And moving on to the third game, Johnny Brito pitched all right. He didn't even get through the 5th, but with the bullpen we had, I think that we knew that we had an opportunity to be able to rely on the bullpen. Anthony Volpe hits a massive grand slam to dead center. Bader has a 3-run home run in the first to give us that 4-0 lead. And a surprising note, Devi Garcia back up in the bigs. He ends up closing out the game over 3 innings, gives up 1 earned, I believe on a solo shot, but his stuff was pretty good, but pretty interesting to see him back. I believe Weiser was the one who went down in that move, but he ended up pitching really well for us there and could be an interesting spot for him to maybe return to this lineup, this roster rather. We'll have to stay tuned on that. So moving on to some of our key takeaways, the first being the Yankees get their first sweep of the season. These are sort of unwritten ones, but the biggest takeaways, Yankees take their first sweep of the season. Yes, it's the A's. Doesn't matter, though. Get some momentum going forward. Got to win those games that you have penciled in for wins. Yankees go 5-2 over their last 7. So some big outlying numbers for the Yankees. But the first one that I want to talk about is the Bombers are back in the Bronx. The Yankees have 17 home runs in May, which, as we know, is a big part of their offense. So good to see the guys clicking again, and I'm sure this number will continue to increase. Judge obviously back in the lineup now for the past 2 games, and guys will continue to get out of some of those funks that they were in to start the season, hopefully from the back of the lineup, and continue to contribute. And I think Judge returning is obviously massive. I think that alters the construction of the lineup that will be really good for the Yankees. We talked about, or the people on Yes and other people on Twitter talked about, where's Anthony Volpe going to go? He's been pretty good in the starting lineup. At the top for the Yankees, we were mixing in Rizzo at 2, Glaber, DJ. So should be interesting to see how we continue on. Obviously, Bader continues to produce at a really high level. He's very fast as well. So a lot of different options for the Yankees, but love to see the power coming back into this offense. Second one I want to talk about is that over this past weekend, obviously going up against the Rays, we proved that we can hang with some of the better teams. When the offense shows up, we can really produce with those top-scoring teams. Our bullpen, talk a little bit about them, 2.68 ERA, which is the lowest in Major League Baseball. They've allowed 1 run or fewer in 2/3 of their games, 24 out of 36 games, and they're 4th overall in strikeouts. So we've proved that we can hang with some of these teams. I think that the Yankees have a good opportunity to continue to roll, and we'll talk a little bit about it later, but we have the Rays coming up at home in our next series. So we've proved that we can hang with some of these better teams, and just look forward to continuing to see this team prove that. Next one we'll talk about is maybe should have been the first bullet, Harrison Bader. Absolutely mashing in his return to the team. His extra base hits have been really incredible. He's been producing runs, and he's been a big part of this lineup. Talking a little bit about some of his numbers, he's hitting .429. He has 3 home runs in his return. I think he might have 3 triples, at least 2, but 11 RBIs, and an OPS of 1341. So, guy's absolutely mashing. Love having his defense back in center field. We've seen IKF shift over to those corner spots. Jake Bauer has played, as Waldo has played. So just another staple to have back in the lineup I think is really important. And I think that this sort of offensive jump has been really important to the team. And I look forward to seeing where he'll slot into this lineup moving forward. Sort of in that 6-7 spot he was last year. But who knows, he may even jump up into that leadoff spot. And from that point on, you can go Judge, Rizzo, obviously fully healthy, Stanton, maybe DJ after that, Glaber. So definitely a versatile piece for our team, and he has been on an absolute tear. The last bullet that we'll talk about, like I was mentioning in the first 2 series, that the rotation continues to stabilize. Yes, obviously there are some blips on the radar. Garrett Cole's outing, I'm not really too worried about that. Again, I didn't really get to watch it, so that might be part of it as well. But Domingo continues to be consistent for this team. Clark Schmidt obviously had a great outing. Was against the A's, but great to have that confidence back with him. Nestor Cortez has evened out. He's gotten over that bad start in Texas against the Rangers. So I think this is important for this team. And who knows, maybe Deivi Garcia will get in the mix here. Obviously, he threw 50 pitches overall over those 3 innings. He pitched pretty well. Stuff looked really sharp. So, who knows? Maybe we'll even see him get a spot start here and there. But those are some of the key takeaways. Let me know what you guys think you would take away from the past 2 series. Moving on to some injury news. We'll talk about 2 guys in particular. We'll start with the positives first. Luis Severino completed a rehab start on Wednesday in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. He ended up throwing 3 1/3, 1 earned, which came by way of a home run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks. He threw 49 pitches, and I think that his stuff looked Major League ready from everything that I was seeing, some of the highlights that I saw, and I think that he's pretty close to returning. And by that I mean maybe 2 more rehab starts. A lot of it is sort of just getting his arm up and ready. We can get him into a position where we can get 5 out of him and continue to build him up at the Major League level. So, could be 2 rehab starts, could be 1. I think that it was definitely a coincidence that we lined up that rehab start for him with Johnny Brito, because he would be the one to give up that spot in the rotation. So I think that was important overall, but we'll have to keep you guys updated as his return continues to get closer. Now, moving on to our other pitcher that is on the IL. Talk about Carlos Rodon. Sort of been some weird reporting on him. Obviously, he's had a lot of difficulties this offseason leading up to his ultimate debut with the Yankees. He came out and described his back injury as chronic, which really is just not a word that you want to hear, especially with a back injury. Definitely, your back has some of the larger muscles in your body, obviously very important in both swinging and throwing the baseball. So very interesting to see where we're going to go from here. Obviously, it started with the forearm, became an elbow, and then became the back when he sort of conquered some of those difficulties that he was running into. But next steps from here, he's going to get a cortisone shot next week. And from there, I imagine that he will have some time off, and we'll look to reevaluate from there. Haven't really heard too much outside of the information that I just shared, so we'll have to see, what ends up coming from this and what a timetable for him looks like. He seemed a little unsure about a July return, but we'll see, obviously, as we learn more, and obviously after he gets the shot, we'll get a better feel for where he is physically and his ability to be able to ramp up and contribute to this team. Now, to round out the video, we'll talk about some of our up-and-coming series. First off, like I was mentioning tonight and throughout the rest of the weekend, we are hosting a 4-game stand against the Tampa Bay Rays. This would be a really big one to at least tie. I think that this would be really important for us. If we're able to win, then we're just about at 500 with them on the season over the last 2 weekends. I think that would be really big for helping us get back in the race. Obviously, we're playing a little bit better now, and we continue to get healthy, but definitely a really, really massive series for us at home to continue to roll, try and get some games back, and get us off and rolling. As after that, next week, we will head to Toronto for 4. I think we have some guys that do like playing in Toronto, and I think that, again, obviously, an in-division team, so this will be a really important series as well. Pitching matchups, obviously, we'll sort of get to. I didn't want to look too much into that as things continue to evolve. Obviously, in Tampa, we're going to see some pretty similar guys. They're going to see a lot of our similar guys as well, so we'll see who's able to make some adjustments there. And after we go up to Toronto, we would travel down to Cincinnati. So we will take on the Reds, maybe get a little Paul O'Neill cast in there for 3. So hopefully that's another series that we're able to sweep. At least take 2 out of 3, I would definitely be happy with. But definitely a good opportunity for us to be able to take these wins, the ones we sort of penciled in before the season as sweeps, would definitely be a good opportunity to capitalize and continue to roll. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments section below what you guys think of the Yankees over these last couple series, how the team is trending, and ultimately how the outlook, in my opinion, has changed incredibly positively. Little tongue twister there. But again, let me know in the comments section if you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, as always. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. This has been your boy Frankie Bones, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.